Ooh, I heard there's a dozing general on the Lawfu, so I came up with a humble nickname for myself. The Lacking General. Lacking in worries, regrets, and rivals.
Oh no, Himiko's dropping off some Leviathan fossils to Herta, and Ron-mei has Tinyuin? Oh no, we're gonna get another frickin' creation of a Leviathan slash Foxian, aren't we? So I'm going to recap what we know of 2.4, but also, this is going to mainly focus on Feixiao and the Borisin.
An IPC transport ship was attacked by the Borisin just before arriving, and the Juming's diplomatic vessel came to the rescue.
Nice.
The relationship between the Foxians and this Abundance race. One of the most deadly races that come from the denizens of Abundance, according to the game. These two races go way back, and for the most part, the Abundance has been a nuisance for the Alliance for literal centuries, but when it comes to Feixiao, sometimes they run the other way. She single-handedly decimates the Abundance. So let's go over her character, what we know, because she is going to be playable next patch in 2.5, and she looks badass. Everything about this character I absolutely love. She is no nonsense. Characters love to talk in riddles, beat around the bush, sound smarter than they are, and she just nips it in the bud. She has no time for games. She even calls Jinyuin lazy. But there's a very good reason she has her reputation. She's earned it, even if she has a condition that she's living with and trying to find a cure for. Essentially, the main premise around this story quest is that the Lawfu wants to show its strength because it was obviously under attack. The Lawfu has undergone a lot of changes recently with the whole Fantilia incident, but the Lawfu is an alliance among other flagships, the Lawfu being one of them, and Jinyuin being the general of that flagship. He has served the Lawfu and the alliance loyally for years. He's not only one of the most senior generals among all of the Arbiter generals, but he's the longest running Lawfu general specifically. So he's put his years in, but they're under investigation among the whole alliance because they want to make sure everything is good to go. They do not need another Abundance war on their hands, and they just want to make sure. So they've sent 2 other generals to investigate and get a feel for the Lawfu, how everyone is, how the situation is. The old General YN of the ship, the Shuming, feels that it's almost a disservice to question Jinyuin, that he's just doing his duty, touching base, and wanted to be upfront, but he believes Jinyuin to be loyal as ever and doesn't necessarily agree with them questioning him, his motives, and his loyalty. And the point of this whole festival on the Lawfu is just to basically say, we're still good to go, we got everything under control, Ventilia's taken care of, everything's in order. But Jinyuin also did allow an exiled dragon Dang Heng to return, and among other things, the Shanzhou Alliance also doesn't agree with this either, so they do need to investigate. Now, the bulk of this, I want to focus on Feixiao and the Borisins, because they attacked pretty early on in the quest. Now, what are the Borisins exactly? Well, they are a denizens of Abundance race, and Feixiao and everyone among her ship being very worried that Hulei, the warhead of the Borisins, might be freed, or something might go wrong. With the recent events of the Lawfu, she felt it was time to investigate. They do their yearly checks or their century-long checks, but that is just not cutting it now with all the recent events. So she's come to investigate, but she's also got her own issues because she has an illness that we'll get into in a second. The Foxians and the Borisins are very much tied in ancient history. They shared a home planet long ago. To cover that briefly, they are a humanoid werewolf-type species, and the Foxians were, well, Foxian species. The two races have evolved quite a bit since then, but their origins, they were both from a planet called Verdant. The Foxians inhabited the riverlands, while the Borisins inhabited the grasslands, seeing them as savages, while the Borisins saw them as deceptive merchants. Obviously, the Foxians are much more quick, cheeky, and persuasive, but the Borisins view this as games and trickery. Yeah, the two races had different conflicts throughout the years, but they were never at each other's throats like in today's age. During the Lupus winter would be the most they would fight due to lack of resources and hunger. A prophet on their home planet saw the end of the world and sought out Yaoshi for salvation. The Foxians claim it was a Foxian named Tushian who saved them, but the Borisins believe it was a man named Duran. And obviously this helped the planet prosper for a little while, but when you're involved with abundance, Eventually, resources will just diminish because people are not dying. Both now long-life species. If no one dies and everyone lives hundreds of years, the planet's gonna run dry, and that's exactly what happened. It caused an ecological collapse because of population expansion, and both left for the stars. And like I said, they evolved in different ways. The Borisins became basically pirates and conquerors throughout space, bringing the lupus winter to other planets and conquering. They also committed many atrocities to the Feixians, believed them to be inferior species and used them, enslaved them, did heinous things to their race, and basically used them as cannon fodder, experimented on them with alchemy, different heinous things. Literal atrocities. To this day, this still happens, and the Feixians, especially the Xiaoqing chip, led by Feixiao, are trying tirelessly to liberate their kin and rectify this. Hule is a Borisin warhead. He has taken countless lives by his own hand, and brought war and scourge upon many worlds he's come across. He is an absolute juggernaut of a villain, and he actually enjoys bringing civilizations to ruin through savagery. But finally he was defeated and imprisoned by none other than Jinglu. Who else would it be? And then he was imprisoned in the Shackling prison, where they do sentry checks on him to make sure he is imprisoned, muzzled, and chained up. The Borisins, though, still acting like space conquerors and pirates, the Alliance has been fighting them ever since. And the Borisins are widely regarded as the most dangerous and savage of the denizens of abundance. Even the disciples of Sanctus Medicus, the people that basically aided Fantilia to infiltrate, also tried to free him at one point, but it failed. That is where Feixiao comes in. She is there to try to transport Hule to her flagship so they can keep better eyes on him. You see, the Feixians on her flagship have evolved differently and have closer blood ties to the Borisin, because all Feixians originate from the same home planet as the Borisin. But over the centuries, the Feixians on different flagships have evolved in unique and different ways. But on her flagship, they share a very close bond and blood with the Borisins. Genetically, Feixiao sent Xiaoqui and Mozo to transport him, but obviously they were not aware that the lieutenants of the Borisin have infiltrated the Luofu, and this is where we see him break free, not before murdering somebody, RIP, and now he is free. The only thing saving Xiaoqui's life is the fact that he mentions Jinglu, who defeated Hule back in the day. But now the Luofu is in a bit of a pickle. But what's the deal with Feixiao? How does she come into play? And who exactly is she? Because obviously she's going to be playable next patch, and that is where this is all going to wrap up. You have, as far as we know, the most powerful abundance individual we faced. But Feixiao, the Merlin's Claw, she has many different aliases. She's known as the Great General, the Lacking General, in her own words, because she's lacking a true rival or competition. She is a no-nonsense badass who has actually only been the general for like 30-ish years after the previous general died in the Third Abundance War. She is skilled in all sorts of martial arts and has honed herself to be a weapon, and because she shares close ties with the Borisin in blood, she has renowned strength and insane durability, but she still has the Feixian features of being quick and agile. She does, however, bear the burden of the Moon Rage affliction. And besides transporting Hule to her own ship so she can watch him better, this affliction is why she's also on the Luofu to try to seek a cure, because Feixians live about 300 years on average. Her lifespan will be cut short due to this affliction, and she wants to find a way to live longer, but it's not looking so good. But she's a no-nonsense person and basically states we all die anyway. She's going to make the most of it in her life to slaughter as many of the abundance as she can. She is said to even ended 5 abundance wars in a single year. There is no Arbiter General alive today that can match her in brute combat and strength, and she is in her prime. 30 years for a Feixian is very short, and 30 years as an Arbiter General is also a short time. But in that time, she has made herself unanimously famous for her ability to absolutely drive back the abominations, single-handedly making the abominations regret their decisions, turn around, and run the other way. It also seems that Feixians on her ship don't have a tail, maybe because they have closer ties to the Borisins. She is also known as fierce and swift because of her aggressiveness towards the abominations, but now that we know a little bit more about her, it's clear that her life will be cut short among Feixians, So it seems obvious now looking at it why she wants to hunt them down so relentlessly. She has a limited time to live as of now because her condition has not been rectified. So she's going to make do with the time she has and eradicate as many as she can before she goes. Because Yao Qing healed her when she got injured in the past, and because of her condition, he works by her side at all times. But even Yi was disappointed to learn that Beilu couldn't find anything to cure her ailment and her condition. She might just be the strongest and most capable Foxian in the history of the Xianzhou. She is nearly flawless in any type of combat weaponry. She has the strength and savagery of a Borisin running through her veins, that blood. But she has the blood of a Foxian. Quick-witted, intelligent, fast, quick-thinking, and their reflexes are off the charts. Not to mention the Arbiter Generals are very heavily linked to be emanators of the hunt. Stated by Welt himself that the Arbiter Generals are on equal playing ground as Fantilia. So all of that considered, she might be just the most perfect living weapon we've ever seen in the game.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
And because of her shortened lifespan, she is making the most of her time, not sitting by and watching, but eradicating the abundance single-handedly. Ending 5 wars in 1 year is insane. Her only drawback, and the only thing that hinders her, is her condition that shortens her life. But this is also one of her greatest weapons, as it drives her not to sit idly by. In terms of combat strength and abilities, there is nobody that can match her. So it's going to be insanely interesting and a great culmination of this story arc to see her go toe-to-toe with the warhead of the Borisin, Hule. Feixiao has learned through history and even seen with her own eyes the atrocities committed to her kin and her fellow Foxians by the Borisins, these space pirates and savages. She is going to make Hule regret ever breaking out of his chains, I have no doubt. As for if she will find a cure for her condition, well, that remains to be seen. I'm sure she will, since she's going to be playable and, well, be around for a little while yet. It's hard to say, because, you know, even if a Foxian lives 150 years, that cuts their lifespan in half. They can live up to 450 years. But to us humans, that seems like a crazy amount of time still. 150 years, I would take that deal. But anyways, that's gonna wrap up this story quest. What's going on the Luofu, Feixiao, her story, and the Borisins, their history, and why they're so dangerous. And we still don't know what the hell Herta's doing with the Leviathan fossil. I have a video coming out very soon about the IPC, so stay tuned for that. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments on this story quest. The Xianzhou Alliance are going to be a reoccurring thing, and honestly, I'm all for it. I hope we get to visit another flagship at some point, as a place you can visit and travel to. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and as always, we will see you all in the next one. Later.